Hello everybody, and welcome back to another ASMR video. This is kind of another gear show-off thing. I got this Godox flash, and I'm doing a review on it for my other channel. And so, like I've stated in other videos, I kind of like to do a pre-review on this channel and just kind of figure out what I'm going to talk about, what I'm going to say, all that fun stuff. So this is a Godox. It's a V100, and this is a camera flash. And I've already done an unboxing, I've already recorded some stuff, so a lot of things will already be opened, but I figure just in like the roleplay space, I could do some sort of unboxing roleplay. So this is the flash. Let's go ahead and unbox it. Hopefully these noises aren't too noisy. So this is the box. Inside it comes a manual. It already has a nice little crease in it. So this is the user manual. So we'll have all of the information you need to know about this flash. Well, maybe not all the information, but quite a large amount of information. All these pages are kind of bent. And then try and straighten them out a little bit. I have not read this manual all the way yet, but I have read a decent amount of it because I got to know a little bit of how it works in order to do a decent review for it. I think this whole thing is in English. Sometimes you get like a very thick manual, and some of the things will be in a few different languages. Also, you might hear my hard drives spinning up and maybe some dogs barking. But hopefully they're not too loud and too distracting. This is the middle of the manual, as you can tell by these staples. And sometimes that's where the other language will start, or other languages. But so far, it looks like this is all in English. There's quite a lot of information to know about it. It's a very simple flash, but just knowing how to use light and how to control the powers to do what you want it to do is somewhat complex. So, that is the user manual that it comes with. Go ahead and set that aside. I'll talk about these little bits first because it comes with a USB-C to USB-A charging cable. There is not a power brick with it. Actually, there is a power brick. I did set that off to the side. Let me pull it in here. There's the power brick. I have a few other of them on my desk, so I get a little confused sometimes. So there's the charging ability over there. You have one of these things, which is a stand. You can place the flash into it in your hair on its cold shoe. And there also is a 1/4-20 thread on the bottom. And 1/4-20 is the most common photography thread mount. So you have the stand. I don't think a lot of people use these stands. I don't use them too much. I think I've got a few of them and maybe lost most of them. But there's a stand with this. There is a fill flash, which I'll talk about in just a second. And there is the battery. This one is a VB30 battery. And this one is specifically for this flash. I'm not sure if this type of battery will go in any other type of Godox gear. The really cool thing about this battery is it has USB-C charging, so you don't need to bring some sort of other piece of hardware where you put it in and it'll charge. You actually just plug the cable right into the battery. So now you really only need a cable. Let's say you have a power brick or something and you've ever did this or don't want to bring this. You can bring just a cable and charge it straight off of a power brick, or if you're staying in a hotel that has a USB-C charger in the lamp or something, you can use that to charge this, and I really like that feature. So I'll pull out the flash real fast. Try and do it in a very gentle way. Because it is somewhat wedged in here. Set that aside and just kind of set the box that it comes in. But there's really nothing else special to the box. There's nothing below it or anything. There are some reviews that I've seen that come with a, what's it called, like a kit, like a gel kit or something, and it's in the bottom of the box. And I was hoping that had that with this one, but alas, it does not. So let's pull the flash out of the pouch. Actually, I'll talk about the pouch first. It's a really cool pouch. It's got some nice sort of textured fabric on the top or on the outside. Got this little design here. Goes all the way around. Some nice stitching. The other cool thing it has is this little back kind of belt or backpack strap here. Let's see if this is not too annoying of a sound. It's got this Velcro on it. I think Velcro is kind of more of an annoying sound for ASMR. But you have this little strap that Velcros down here, and this thing covers that up so that it locks on pretty tight. And there is what looks like a pouch here. So I do believe you can just thread this in here, which will be very loud to do right now. So I think if you don't need this, you'd probably have to fold this over, and then you can slide this in here, or you can put like gels or some other items that are just kind of really thin, maybe some business cards. So you have that there. On the, I guess it's on the left side, depending how you look at it, on one of the sides, you have nothing. But then on the other side, you have another pocket that has a little bit of bungee straps on the side. And this could be used to hold your fill flash. I won't push it all the way down because it gets kind of wedged in there and it's allowed to take out. So you have your fill flash that you can carry with you. You could carry another battery, although I don't quite think this is designed for another battery. So I had a bit of a cat distraction, which you've probably seen in a few of my other videos, but basically I was saying that I don't put a battery in here because it tends to stretch out the elastic sides a little bit too much. The other thing you could do is you could put in this foot, and that'll hold that thing quite nicely. You could also store the power brick and the cable in here as well. So there's a few options, and I really like how they've included that on the bag and the back strap, which is very, very well made. So then you open the top. And you have the flash. This is kind of nice, padded, sort of semi-velvety top here so that the flash head doesn't get scratched. Just going to pull this out of the case, and then I'll set the case aside. I'll just set it right up here. The other thing the kit came with is this ring. I've already opened this and installed the actual ring. So this red ring is actually the ring that came on the flash. But the red ring is a plastic ring. And what was in the box was this black ring. And this one is a magnetic ring, so you can place things like diffusers and such on the flash and modify the flashlight. And it's very cool that they included it. I think there is a sort of trademark infringement with this brand and another brand. And so I don't think they can technically sell the flash or have the flash manufactured with the metal port on. But the workaround is that they can send out, or they can sell the user replaced metal ring. I guess that gets around the trademark. So as for the flash, we can place the battery inside. It's kind of interesting, the flash is just kind of got this hole in the middle until you place in the battery. And then once you do, it looks pretty normal, like a regular flash. So I'm going to turn this on. I think it might make kind of a loud, whirry sound, so I'm going to turn this on. I think it might make sort of a loud sound, so hopefully it's not too distracting. So you hold the button down, and then you wait for it to turn on. what that is there's a motor inside here that moves the flash up or down through the head here, because what it'll do is it'll focus it. I don't know if you can see very well, but there's some texture around the glass here, and it's called a Fresnel. I believe this is still technically a Fresnel lens, but it's a way of focusing the light, and just kind of like magnifying glasses. If you have the magnifying glass further from what you're looking at or closer, that'll change your focus. And so that's what that's doing, is it moves the actual flash tube further or closer to the Fresnel lens, and that'll make it wider or more narrow. So on the back there is a touch screen, which I don't know how ASMR inducing that is, but it's very responsive. It's actually a very nice touch screen. The pixel density isn't as dense as you would expect on many things. You can still see kind of the squares and the pixels and all that, but that's really just kind of getting nitpicky, because generally you're not using this for more than anything but a glance here or there, so you really don't need the pixels to be as good as like on a phone screen where you're staring at it and reading things. But the responsiveness is great, so I'm glad they put more into the responsiveness than they did into the pixel density. So everything is pretty much touchscreen. There's like slide downs, and there's some slide overs, a few different menu items, a bunch of different options and way to use the flash. But there's very few buttons on here. There's a home button which will take you back home if you do get lost. You can go into your manual mode, change your power that way. You have TTL, which means through the lens. I'm sure you can't see that very well, but it means through the lens. And what this will do is the flash sits on your camera, and it'll kind of digitally look through your lens and see what your exposure is and what kind of settings you're using, and it'll give you an exposure. Based on that, it'll change its power for you. So generally you'd have it on 0, and that's a correct exposure, but let's say you're taking some photos and it's just too bright, you can bring this down, which means what you're telling the flash is when you see the exposure I've set for whatever scene you're shooting, shoot it 2/3 stop less than what you consider median output, if that makes any sense. You can do the same thing when it's too dark. You can say shoot it 1 full stop or a stop and 1/3. So, pretty smart flash. And if you want, you can just tap the TTL to go back to manual, and you can set the power the way you want. And with that being said, is when you buy one of these flashes, you will see there's in this circly area a letter, and that usually corresponds to the camera manufacturer. So mine is S for Sony, you have a C for Canon, N for Nikon. They might make Pentax or other brands, I'm not sure, but they probably have P there. But Canon, Nikon, and Sony are kind of the big mains that people are using. And then the U here on this specific model means USA, and the USA version is the one that comes with the plastic ring, and so you'll either need to make sure or to see if they include the adapter ring box in the kit or not. It's a lot of information for an ASMR video. So one thing I was going to mention is the reason you want to buy a flash that matches your camera brand is because on the bottom they'll have different pins for different models, and that's how the camera talks to the flash to do the TTL adjustments. So you want to make sure you have your correct brand. A lot of times though, this main pin that you can see, that'll kind of line up as just your main firing pin. So sometimes if you're in a pinch, you can use a different brand and all it will do is just fire the flash, which means you'd then have to only use the power manually. So on the side, I'll just kind of go over some of the things just to make this video not crazy long and crazy technical. But you have a few buttons, you have a port for USB-C, sync port, you have just some design. These look like they could be air fins, but they're not. They're more just design fins. You have a battery charging port on this side, like I was mentioning. On the front, you then have another port, which is kind of got a rubber grip on it. This is for adding another power pack in case you're shooting long hours or lots of full power flashes. And then you have the spot where you can put on the fill flash. So the reason for this is because on some other flashes, which I'll show you here, I have one of these for a prop. Some of these other flashes will have this thing that you can slide out. And this little thing is another kind of Fresnel lens. This will widen the spread and allow the light to hit this card. And this card, I should explain, usually when you're shooting events, you have the flash pointed upwards toward the ceiling and not so much at the front of the camera lens, because that's kind of some harsh light. So I usually just kind of point this up at the ceiling, bounce light off the ceiling. But on these ones, this little card will kind of push a little bit of light back toward your subject. So you get kind of some nice catch light in their eyes, and they look nice and pretty. But these square heads, as they're called, will have a kind of built-in retractable fill card, as they're called. And this one does not have it. I mean, they possibly could have made a round one, but it's probably a big design thing. So what they've done is they've added kind of a fill flash here. So if you're using this and it's pointed up towards the ceiling, you can use this as a fill flash. And the cool thing about that is when you have it attached over here, you can actually change its power independent of the main flash power. So it's kind of a really cool workaround for not having the fill card on it. So I think that's probably about as long as I will go on this video, because it's starting to get pretty technical, and I don't want it to be too long and too boring. So I do hope this was an interesting video for you, or at least relaxing,